Good morning, Rabbi. So we're going to continue now the sugya that we started a couple of days ago, which was a negei shaila. In fact, I'm actually getting a bunch of different shailas, which are negei to chometz, which maybe we'll discuss maybe a different time. But this is a very negei shaila, which was asked to me by one of the boys that was in yeshiva a couple of years ago. And in fact, some of the boys came after us saying that this is really negei. This is really negei. What's the shaila? The shaila is whether or not I'm allowed to involve myself, right, in a business format, in buying and dealing with non-kosher food, even for non-Jewish workers. So as I said last time, if you ask most people, what's the shaila? He's a goy. I'm not telling him to eat it, no shaila of amira la'akum. I'm simply, buying it for him to enable him to eat it. He's a goy also. So what's the shaila? So we spoke about last time the idea of the Issa of Mischar. There's an Issa brought down in the Gemara, Shulchan Aruch, Yodeh, Kuf Yud Zayin, which is the Issa of doing business. And we explained last time, there are different shitas, why that's the case. Right, we saw the Chassam Sofer, for example, just to recap the Olam where we were holding. The Heilige Chassam Sofer explained to us. We had three mahalchim before that, but then the halacha of the Chassam Sofer, which Rabbi Moshe said is the halacha l'maisa, is the nafkamina between whether or not A, there's an ownership, and B, there's a chashash that someone will actually come to eat it. When you have either one of those, then of course there's a problem. When a person's working in a random office and all he's doing is doing the accounts for such an office that deals with non-kosher food, so number one, was no chashash that he's going to come to eat it. He's not dealing with the food itself, and he's not owning it. He doesn't own the business. He just has the accounts, and therefore that would not be a problem. So now let's move on to the actual shaila. That was all what we discussed last time. Was like almost like a hakdama to this shaila, and the shaila is: I have a Jewish company. And this exactly was a shaila that came in. Somebody that owns the company, runs the company, he has non-Jewish workers, he wants to know, can he order treif food for lunchtime, for dinner time, whatever it is, for the olam to eat over there. It's goyish olam, there's no chashash, any yidden are going to come to eat it, no shailas lefnei over here, no maris ayin, all a bunch of goyim over there. Is he or is he not allowed to do that? So we said that as long as it's not an issa hana, for example, it's not chometz on Pesach, it's not yain nesach, basa v'cholav, or something similar to that, which is an issa hana. We're not dealing with issa hana. We're dealing with treif food that is not also bahana in that case. So one could say that technically you're not really doing business with the food, right? I'm not buying and selling the food to make money. That's not why I'm buying the food. I'm buying the food so my workers can eat. That's not really doing business with it, kind of. I'm kind of just using it just to be able to make it cheaper or anything like that. So the Ramah in Yeridei Yisem Kuf Yud Zayin Paskins Halacha l'maisa that it is absolutely asa. The Ramah Paskins that it's asa for a person to do that. Explains the Taz. What's pshat in the Ramah? Pshat in the Ramah is that non-kosher food is generally cheaper, which is why you're ordering non-kosher food as opposed to kosher food. Zog the Taz, since it's cheaper, memela you're profiting from the very fact that you are buying non-kosher food. So the yid who owns the company, is profiting in a financial way from ordering non-kosher food for his non-Jewish workers because it's cheaper. So Mela, according to the Ramah, it's going to be asa. Comes along the Shach, comes along the Pri Chodosh, and they're cholik on the Ramah. They hold that there's no problem whatsoever. This is not called the Issa Mischa. This is not doing business with non-kosher food. I'm using it. Right, the example that they bring is, I can give it, like according to many, we spoke about this maybe one time, but if you give it to your cat, or you give it to a dog, you give it to your pet, there's no issa b'chal. Again, we're not talking about issa hana over here, we're talking about issa of tray food. I'm not doing business with it by giving it to my pet. So what's the difference? I can give it to the guy also. Right, the Das Torah, the Heilige Catcher, the Das Torah brings a moedikus list of different svarim in Siman Samach Sikot and Zayin. He brings the Oizarua in Hilchos Shvius that also says it's mutter. Other Rishonim and Achronim as well that he quotes incredibly well over there. So according to that, we have a Machlokas to Ramah and the Shach and the Pri Chodosh. However, very important to note, even the Mekilim, meaning, even those, like the Shach and the Pri Chodosh, that are cholik on the Ramah, that hold that it's mutter, that it's not called using tray food, because I'm just simply using it to serve, but I'm not doing business with it, that will be mutter. Even the Mekilim that hold that way, they would only say that way if I'm obligated to buy food for my workers, meaning part of the work parcel, part of the conditions of working in my company, and this is what you sign on, there's contracts and whatever, is that I will provide you with lunch. Let's say, I'm not talking about everyone does this, but in a company that they do that, if you're obligated to do that, and part of that is serving them food, so Mimela, by serving them non-kosher food and making it cheaper, Seder. But in a case where I'm not obligated to buy them food, but you know what? The team's doing great. I want to buy everyone, pizza with meat on it, whatever it may be. Okay, that's basar v'cholav, which is okay. We'll talk derech special. Let's leave out the basar v'cholav. I want to buy them tray food in order just to give them everyone a geschmacka lunch. I don't need to do this. I'm not obligated to do this. Then even the mekilim who hold that there's no problem by doing, this is not called doing business, I'm allowed to order non-kosher food according to them, would hold it's usher in this case. Why? Because I'm not obligated. Only when I'm obligated to do so, that's when we say it's part of the terms of agreements. Whereas if I'm not obligated, I do it as an extra, so even the mekilim that hold that it's mutter, in this case, would be machmir. Not only that, by the way, the Pri Chodosh adds another svara, and the Pri Chodosh says that even the poskim that are mekel, it's talking about, it's unclear exactly what the Pri Chodosh means, but Pashtus is talking about more of a personal usage of the non-kosher food. Whereas if they work in my company and they're paid money and I make profit based on what they do, so the Pri Chodosh says even the mekilim would basically hold that it's also. So it comes out lemaisa. Let's just make a sikum, a summary of what we just said. That yes, we started with a machlokes, the Ramah and the Pri Chodosh, but upon him lemaisa, it comes out that most times, come out every time, that a Jewish company will be ordering food that's not kosher, that is treif for his goyish workers, will basically be asa. There's come up no time that it's going to be mutter. There are a few times that you could find, far and in between, but that's that. Now what about this? What happens, and this is also very common, what happens if a Jewish company allows the goyish workers, to buy non-kosher food and bill it to the company? So for example, I have an account with a non-kosher restaurant or whatever it may be, and I allow my workers to go to this place and they will bill the company. So in other words, once a month we'll pay the bill for whatever the workers took out. I'm not buying it. Now it's different. I'm not buying it for the workers. They went to the restaurant, they went to the place, they bought it, and they put it on the bill of the company in that case. So this is Be'etzem a Gemara in Avodah Zarah Samar Gimel. Shulchan Aruch talks about this in Yeridei Sem Kuf Lamed Beis Sif Dalet, that holds that it's going to be mutter. Why in this case is it all of a sudden mutter? And the svara basically is that it's not paid for in advance. It's paid for basically afterwards, which means it's not considered as the Jewish owner ever owned it, because he never bought it. He paid afterwards, and afterwards the guy ordered it, ate it, and now I'm paying the bill afterwards. And that's not considered to be doing business and dealing with business with non-kosher food. In the case where the company orders the food and owns it, and now gives it to the goyim, that's considered to be owning it, maybe that's doing business with it, because I'm serving it to my workers and it's cheaper for me. Whereas in a case where I never owned it, the Yid never owns it, the owner of the company never owns it, the guy goes in, buys it, and it only gets paid by the company afterwards, so then in a Hanami, a person can be mekel, and that would be mutter, and that would be, by the way, a way out of allowing a goy to order non-kosher food if it's paid for afterwards by the company bill or something similar to that in that case. By the way, again, another disclaimer, this is not talking about Isurei Hana. We're not talking about basar v'cholav, we're not talking about chometz on Pesach, and we're not talking about yain nesach. Those are a separate category. Maybe Be'ezus Hashem before Pesach we'll try to get to some of the shilas. Two last shilas that we have to deal with in this specific inyan, and this is something that maybe we have to discuss again. Is a Yid allowed to take out a goy to a non-kosher restaurant? Now I'm not going to eat anything. I'm simply going to stand there, I'm going to sit there, we'll schmooze, we'll talk business. He really wants to go to this treifa restaurant. Am I allowed or am I not? Now, of course, the most common shaila in this is maris ayin. Am I allowed to even walk in there? Am I allowed to sit down? A whole different shaila. We'll discuss that Be'ezus Hashem a different time of hilchas maris ayin. Let's leave out the maris ayin sugya. We have no idea what to say about maris ayin. Let's just talk about the business part of things. Am I allowed to walk into a restaurant that's a treifa restaurant, leaving out maris ayin, and am I allowed to buy and basically deal? It's a business deal because I'm going to get business done in that case over there. So we can say that based on what we just said a few moments ago, that since the bill is being paid afterwards, and make sure that the goy is doing the ordering of the food, as long as the goy is doing the ordering of the food and I am paying the bill after the meal is finished, then that will be mutter in that case, because the one who generally orders is considered to be the purchaser. Since the goy is doing the ordering, he's the purchaser. So that's heter number one. Heter because he normally has to pay. Heter number two would be is I'm paying afterwards in that case over there. If it's a takeout, by the way, let's say the guy says, can we just go together to the store, get a takeaway and bring it back? So now I have a bit of a problem, right? So the best thing, by the way, to do over there is, because generally you pay for it and then get the food afterwards, and now I'm the Jewish owner and I have a problem. Best thing is to pay by credit card, and if you pay by credit card, you have the het because you only pay at the end of the month, and that's considered to be paying afterwards, which would be a het. To the last shaila, which is impossible to really deal with on a large scope, is owning a nursing home, right? Be'ez Hashem, everyone here should be zoicha be'ez Hashem to own many nursing homes, right? I wasn't zoicha to get hold of some of the owners of nursing homes to ask them the shaila. For some reason they weren't picking up their phone to me. Can't figure out why. But upon him, the question whether is, if I own a nursing home and there are goyim in the nursing home, am I allowed, as the Jewish owner, to allow non-kosher food to be